That's a human ship. No civilization evolves this fast, ChatGPT said. The stars didn't twinkle out here. They watched in silence. Far beyond the edge of any known star map, where space turned blacker than black, a strange signal echoed across. The void, it wasn't just random noise. It had rhythm, pattern, language, and it was human. Commander Rizzle of the Karn Dominion leaned forward on her command chair, her 4 eyes narrowing. "Where did this come from?" she asked, her voice low and sharp. Her sensor officer, a young cadet with trembling hands, replied, "From Grid Black Sector." Oh, the dead zone, Commander." Rizzel's mouth tightened. Nothing came back from the dead zone. Not ships, not signals, just silence. The last expedition had vanished without a trace. No wreckage, no last words. Till now. The signal repeated. It was soft, slow, and carried an ancient Earth dialect. Not a distress call, not a cry for help, just 5 calm words. "We see you. Come closer." Someone or something was waiting. "Launch a probe," Rizzle ordered. The crew obeyed. Inked. All watched the screen as the small metallic eye zipped through the darkness. For 30 minutes, nothing. Then a static burst. Then a single image. It wasn't clear. Just a jagged outline, a shape too large to be debris, too angular to be natural. Something big was out there, something silent, something that answered. In human tongue, then the probe was gone, just like the others. "This is a trap," muttered First Officer Core, his voice tight. "We should inform High Command." Rizzle didn't answer right away. She was staring at the image, zoomed in, stabilized, cleaned by the ship's filters. It was a ship, a massive one, built in blocky layers, armored like a bunker. No lights. No markings, no known design. It just floated there, half buried in shadow. No living species had ever built a ship that large in human space. She stood, ready a strike fleet. "We're going in." 3 hours later, 5 Dominion warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the dead zone. Sensors screamed with static. Power systems flickered. Something in the space here didn't obey normal rules. But the object remained. Still there, still waiting. They scanned it again. No heat. No movement. No signal. "Maybe it's just a derelict," said one crew member. But then a new voice crackled over their coms. A human voice. Calm, measured. "You came. That was fast." And the bridge went dead silent. "Who is this?" Rizzle demanded. The voice chuckled softly. "No need for names yet. You're standing at the edge of something you don't understand. Best turn around." Rizzel's hands curled into fists. "You are in violation of Dominion space. Identify your vessel or be fired upon." There was a pause, a long one. Then the voice said, still calm, "You first." Rizzle motioned for weapons. "To be armed, charge all plasma arrays." One of her warships, the Blade of Dawn, moved closer to the unknown ship. It locked weapons. Lights glowed red. Engines hummed. Then, without warning, every system on the Blade of Dawn shut down. No explosion. No attack, just ... gone. Like someone had turned off the universe around it. Status, Rizzle shouted. "Dead." Her officers barked. "All systems offline. They're blind." Then the human voice returned. Colder this time. That was restraint. "Next time, we won't be gentle." The ship powered up. Not all at once. Just in parts. Like a beast stretching after a long sleep. Red lights flickered alive. Hull plates moved. What looked like giant gun barrels slowly rotated toward the Dominion fleet. It was massive. At least the size of a capital ship, if not bigger. Stared in disbelief. This ... This is a human ship. They all believed humans were still stuck building shuttles and colonies, barely climbing past their own solar system. They weren't supposed to have this kind of power, this kind of reach. "Commander," a voice whispered behind her. "What do we do?" Rizzle hesitated. Then the human voice spoke once more. "Final warning, go home." And then the human ship vanished. No flash, no noise, just gone, as if the void had swallowed it whole. The fleet floated in silence, 5 warships stunned and scanning. There was nothing left. No signal, no trace. Just ... emptiness. But then came the signal again, this time from somewhere much closer. "We see you everywhere now." Prevails stared at the screen. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. It had just begun. The silence on the bridge was heavy. Commander Prevails stood frozen, eyes locked on the empty void where the strange human ship had vanished just moments ago. No trails. No radiation. Nothing. But the message still echoed through their comms, cold and calm. "We see you everywhere now." "What do they mean?" Cor whispered beside her. "Everywhere." Prevails didn't answer. She was already thinking of the bigger picture. If that ship was real, if it was human, then the Dominion's entire understanding of Earth was wrong. Very wrong. "Begin full system scans," she ordered. "Range, 100,000 kilometers. Look for cloaked vessels, strange readings, anything." The crew scrambled. Fingers tapped consoles. Lights flickered. Nothing came back. "Still no sign of the ship," the sensor officer said. "No FTL trail. No heat. Not even static. It's like it was never here." Prevails clenched her jaw. "It was here. We saw it. It disabled one of our ships without firing a shot." The Blade of Dawn drifted nearby, powerless and quiet. Rescue teams had already launched, boarding the ship carefully, unsure what they'd find. All communications were down, but they were alive. That much was clear. "They're shaken," the comms officer said quietly. One of the boarding teams sent a message using emergency lights. "No one is hurt but the crew. They're not speaking. They won't talk. Just sitting there." "Fear shock," said Cor. "Whatever happened to them, it was more than just a blackout." Prevails turned to him. "Send a drone to each of the other quadrants. I want eyes everywhere. The humans are watching us. I want to know how." Minutes passed. The drones were deployed. They flew in different directions, silent and fast. The bridge was tense, every officer listening for the smallest sound, the smallest anomaly. Then one of the drones vanished. No warning. It's just gone. "Drone 3 has lost signal," someone called. "Did something hit it?" "No, sir. It just disappeared. Like the ship." A low chill swept across the crew. Prevails stepped toward the main view screen. The stars were beautiful and quiet, as they always were, but now they felt different. Watched. Judged. And then it happened again. This time, Drone 5 sent back one final image before it vanished. A dark triangle impossible to see without enhancement. Hovering just beneath the shadow of a nearby asteroid, a ship almost invisible, almost part of space itself, but definitely human. Prevails stared at the image. "That's not the same one we saw before." "No, Commander," said the science officer. "It's smaller, different design. How many do they have?" "Unknown." Prevails' stomach twisted. 2 ships. Maybe more. None of them detectable by standard scans. None of them behaving like normal vessels. "Earth shouldn't be capable of this. We need to leave," Cor said. "Take this to High Command." "If we stay, we risk everything." Prevails didn't answer. Right away, her eyes stayed locked on the fading image. She hated running. She hated not understanding. But Cor was right. She nodded. "Prepare for FTL jump. Set coordinates to Dominion Core Command. Full encryption. Transmit everything we've gathered so far. No delay." The crew moved fast. Engines powered up. Jump drives spun to life, but then the lights dimmed. A warning buzzed from the systems. "Commander," the chief engineer called. "Something's interfering with our jump drive. It's being jammed." Prevails spun around. "From where?" The engineer shook his head. "We don't know. It's not a signal, it's like space itself is. Resisting." Then came the voice again. "Leaving so soon." It wasn't from speakers. It came from every console, every comms channel, even the emergency backups you came to watch. "Now it's your turn to be watched." Prevails' heart pounded. "Shut it down. Kill all external connections." "We already did," yelled the comms officer. "Not using our systems. It's ... direct. They're inside the hull." The bridge crew panicked, voices rising, fingers moving too fast, too clumsy. Fear was spreading. Everyone hold. Position, Rizzle barked. We don't run. Not yet. If they wanted us dead, we'd be dead. The voice spoke one last time. Remember what you saw, and tell them. Humanity waited. Now we're ready. Suddenly, the lights returned to normal. The jump drive came online. All interference vanished. And just like that, they were alone again. The stars didn't move. The air felt the same, but everything had changed. Rizzle gave the order. The fleet jumped back to Dominion space. Carrying more than just sensor logs, they carried a message. A warning. Humans had returned to the stars and they were no longer behind. The jump ended with a quiet pulse of light. Rizzel's fleet reappeared in Dominion space, far from the strange dead zone and its impossible human ghosts. But even back in familiar skies, the tension didn't fade. They were supposed to be the hunters. Instead, they had been watched, warned, and let go. On the bridge of her flagship, Rizzle stood in silence, watching the stars. Behind her, the crew worked quickly, transmitting every bit of data they'd collected to High Command. Commander, said the comms officer, confirmation received. The Council wants a full report. You're to appear in person within the hour. Rizzle nodded. Prep a shuttle. Have Core joined me? As they left the bridge, Rizzle took one last look at the image frozen on the screen. Shadowed human ship half hidden by an asteroid. Not flashy, not beautiful, but dangerous, deliberate. She couldn't stop thinking about the voice. Came to watch. Now it's your turn to be watched. At the Dominion's core command, the High Council chamber buzzed with tension. 12 alien leaders of different races sat around a glowing table, their faces serious. A large screen above them showed the same grainy images Rizzle had sent the first human ship. Then the second, then the disappearance of the drones. When she entered, the room quieted. Commander Rizzell, said Chancellor Vorn, a wide, silver-skinned leader with a deep voice. You claim to have made contact with human warships? This is not possible. Our intelligence shows Earth barely reaching its outer moons. Rizzle nodded once. That's what we believed to. But we were wrong. She stepped to the center of the room and tapped a small control. A full 3D image of the first ship floated above the table, massive, layered, armored. This vessel disabled one of our ships with no energy discharge, no known weapons. It left without trace. Then a second ship appeared, cloaked near an asteroid. We believe there are more. And they spoke to you? Another counselor asked. In our language, Rizzell's voice was firm, yes, calm/confident. They knew exactly what they were doing. They told us to remember what we saw, that they've been waiting, that they're ready. The room fell quiet. Chancellor Vorn leaned forward. Ready for what? Rizzell didn't answer. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't know. It's not yet. Later, in a quieter meeting room, Rizzle and Core reviewed the probe data with military analysts. The room was filled with tension. Everyone leaned in close, eyes fixed. On the displays, one screen showed the moment the Blade of Dawn had lost power. Another showed the cloaked ship near the asteroid. But it was the next clip that stole everyone's breath. The ship's heat sensors had picked up a flash just for a second before the interference cut out. It wasn't from the visible human ship. It was from behind the Dominion fleet. Another ship, larger, completely dark. Not cloaked, not invisible dash. Just ... unlit, like a moving piece of the void. There was a third one, Core said in disbelief. Rizzle stared at the image, maybe more. And they were behind us the whole time. She looked around the room. We weren't being hunted. We were being studied. Tested, but how? Asked an officer. How could humans build ships like this without us knowing? We've been watching them for centuries. That question hung in the air like smoke. No one had an answer. Later that night, Rizzle sat alone in her quarters. The stars outside her window no longer felt safe. She pulled up Earth's old data images of their last known fleet, old shuttle designs, recorded news feeds. Everything looked basic, weak, but now she knew it was a mask. She remembered the calm voice that spoke through every system on her ship. No fear, no bluster, just cold, quiet certainty. They hadn't needed to shout. They just let the silence do the work. Rizzle closed her eyes, a strange mix of fear and admiration creeping in. The humans had hidden their true strength for years. And now they'd decided to show it. Not with war, not with announcements, but with a single ship, drifting in the dark, whispering, "We see you." The galaxy would never feel the same again. The Dominion Council chambers were unusually quiet the next day. Word had already spread. A human ship had stopped an entire fleet without a single casualty. People didn't believe it at first, but the data was real. The fear was spreading faster than any official report. In a high-level strategy room deep within the capital, Rizzle stood beside Core and several intelligence officers. A large holomap displayed the border regions near Earth's solar system. Red markers blinked slowly old patrol routes, scout paths, forgotten observation posts. "None of our scans show any new shipyards or production spikes," said analyst. "Doran Earth still appears technologically backward." Rizzle pointed at the image of the massive dark vessel. "Then how do you explain this?" Doran hesitated. "We can't." The room shifted. People exchanged nervous looks. "They tricked us," Rizzle said. "For decades, they kept us watching the wrong things. No flashy tech, no visible fleets. Just slow, steady progress behind the curtain." Core stepped forward. Or maybe they didn't hide at all. Maybe we just didn't think they were worth looking at. That thought hit the room like a slap. They had laughed at Earth's slow climb into space, called them loud, disorganized, obsessed with internal squabbles, primitive. But now the humans had ships that moved like shadows, weapons no one had seen before, the ability to shut down systems without firing a single shot. "They've been building with a different logic," Rizzle said. "They make things elegant, efficient. They build things strong, thick armor, redundant systems. Not beautiful, but hard to kill." An officer frowned. "That's still not enough to explain what they did to the Blade of Dawn. Energy doesn't just disappear, unless they're not using energy the way we do," Core added. "What if they don't block our weapons? What if they bend?" The science team looked at one another. That idea hadn't been considered. "Bending energy?" someone asked. "Like gravitational redirection?" "It's possible," Rizzle said. "Unlikely. But after what we saw, we can't say anything is impossible anymore." A silence followed. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but afraid to say it. If Earth could do this, who else could? What if other primitive species were also hiding behind outdated tech? What if the galaxy wasn't just full of subjects but rivals? Then, a soft chime broke the silence. An urgent message was coming in. Dominion High Command. Rizzle opened the channel. Familiar face appeared. General Threx, head of Dominion Security. His face was tight, unreadable. "We've picked up something strange," he said. "Just outside one of our listening posts in Sector 19. Another human ship?" Rizzle asked. "No," Threx replied. "A message. Sent directly to the post, encrypted in an old Dominion military code, one we haven't used in over 100 years." Everyone leaned closer. "What did it say?" Core asked. Threx didn't answer. Instead, he uploaded the text directly to the room's main display. 5 words appeared on the screen. "You're not the only ones." The room went dead still. "What does that mean?" someone whispered. Rizzle stared at the message. Her voice was quiet but certain. "It means this isn't just about humans anymore." They thought Earth was a backwater planet. They thought humans were slow. But humans weren't just hiding technology. They were watching, listening. And now it seemed they weren't the only ones. Outside, in the cold stretch of stars, something else was moving. And the game had changed again. 2 days later, in the far reaches of Dominion space, a supply station went dark. No explosion. No distress signal. Just silence. Patrol ships arrived within the hour. They found the station intact. No damage. No signs of battle. But the crew was missing. All 142 officers and workers gone. Food still warm in the mess hall. Lights still on. No bodies, no blood. No escape pods used. Just one strange detail. Every screen on the station showed the same words in perfect Dominion script. You stopped watching. We didn't. Back at the Dominion capital, panic set in. The council held emergency meetings. News outlets were silenced. Citizens were told nothing. But whispers spread fast. Humans had come. And now something worse might be coming with them. In the military command tower, Rizel watched new reports come in. Another outpost offline. A scout ship missing near an old mining belt. A listening array. Shut down mid-transmission. Last recorded signal. A burst of laughter in human language. None of it made sense. They weren't attacks. There were no casualties, no demands. Just silence and strange messages left behind like bread. So the Dominion's strength had always been its control, its reach, its eyes across the stars. But now, something was peeling that control away. Commander Kor said, stepping. Into the briefing room we got a message. It's from Earth. Rizel looked up sharply. Open it. The screen lit up. It wasn't a live transmission. Just a simple video? A human man stood calmly in front of a dark console. Tall, gray uniform. No weapons in sight. This is Captain Elias Thorne, Earth's Strategic Command, he began. We are aware of your recent losses. We want to be clear. They are not our doing. Rizel narrowed her eyes. Captain Thorne continued. Your people made contact with our ghost fleet. That was intentional. We wanted you to see. We wanted you to think. He leaned slightly closer. But we are not the only ones who've been watching. There are things out here we don't fully understand. We've kept them away from Earth. You woke them up. The video ended. Just like that, Rizel turned to. Kor, they're blaming us, or warning us, he replied. A new voice joined them. It was Analyst Doran, holding a datapad. We tracked the origin of the message, he said. It didn't come from Earth. Rizel frowned. Then where? Doran hesitated. A relay satellite. One we abandoned 50 years ago. It shouldn't even be active. Rizel took a slow breath. So they're in our systems. Kor shook. His head, they're in our territory. They're everywhere. Later that night, Rizel stood alone in the observation dome, looking out at the stars. Once they had felt like a map, plan, every sector known, every route patrolled. The Dominion had eyes in every corner, but now. Those stars felt like doors, and someone else was opening them. A faint tone echoed in the room. A direct message. Rizel tapped the console, text only. We gave you a chance to see. You chose to keep watching. Now it's your turn to be seen. Then the power flickered, only for a second. But when it returned, the entire dome's outer wall. Usually, a screen showing the stars now showed something else. A ship. Massive. Black. Silent. It hovered just outside orbit. No energy readings. No signal. But it was there. Rizel stared at it, her heart pounding. She didn't call for weapons. She didn't move. She knew whatever it was, it could have destroyed the station already. The ship didn't move. Didn't speak. But after a moment, it turned slowly and slipped back into the void. Gone again. But the message was clear. They weren't alone in the dark. Not anymore, asterisk. 3 fleets were deployed the next morning. Admiral Kareth, one of the Dominion's most decorated leaders, was placed in command. He didn't believe in ghosts, tricks, or human warships playing shadow games. Believed in numbers, firepower, and overwhelming force. We've waited long enough, he said in the war room. If Earth wants to test our borders, we'll answer in kind. Hard and loud, Rizel was there too, standing across from him. I've seen what they can do, she said quietly. Don't underestimate them. Kareth gave her a cold smile. I just don't scare easy. 3 fleets, 50 ships. Top Dominion tech. They moved fast, heading toward the border sector where the mysterious ship had last been seen. Nothing showed on scans. No signal, no heat, no movement, just space. Then the trap closed. Half the fleet system shut down at once. Not destroyed, just offline. Engines froze. Weapons failed. Lights dimmed. One after another, ships started drifting. Kareth's voice shouted through the coms, demanding answers, orders, anything. Then a single transmission came through. One human voice. Captain Elias Thorne again.
Stand
Down, Admiral. We warned you. This is not a fight you can win. Kareth growled, slamming his fist on the console. You think we'll roll over for tricks and shadows? Fire everything now? The remaining ships, those still active, launched a full barrage. Beams of energy, plasma torpedoes, wide-area disruptors, all aimed at the dark ship that had just appeared from the edge of the void, and all of it missed. No worse. The human ship didn't move. The shots bent, curved, swerved around it like they were hitting invisible walls, or being pulled off course by something stronger than physics. Sir, one weapons officer said with shaking hands, our targeting systems are malfunctioning. No, said Kor, watching from the command feed back at Dominion HQ. They're being beaten. The human ship finally responded. The panels slid open. No glow, no charge up. Just a soundless launch. Single, tiny object shot from the hull. It crossed the space between the ships in a fraction of a second, and then one of the Dominion cruisers went dark. No explosion, just gone. Engines, lights, gravity, everything failed. And then another, and another. One shot at a time. Each one perfectly placed, each one disabling, not killing. Elias Thorne came back on the comms. We won't destroy your fleet, Admiral. You're not the target. You're just the warning. Warning for what? Kareth snapped. For what's waking up out here, Thorne said calmly. We're not the threat, but we are the ones who can stop it. Then the transmission ended, and the human ship disappeared again. No flash, just gone. Kareth's fleet limped. Home, half of it disabled, the rest too shaken to argue. Back at Dominion HQ, Rizzle watched it all unfold. Everyone did. They all saw it. Everyone who thought humans were just catching up. Now they understood. Humans hadn't just advanced. They had outpaced everyone and done it in the dark. And worse. They weren't trying to conquer. They were trying to prepare. For something else, something coming. Rizzle sat alone in the debrief room that night. Outside, the stars burned cold and silent. One final message pinged on her private console. You've seen what we can do. Now ask yourself, what are you going to do when the real darkness comes? No name, no source. But Rizzle knew exactly who sent it. She had no answer. 3 days passed. No more attacks, no new signals, just silence. But it wasn't the calm kind. It was the silence before something breaks. The Dominion Council met behind closed doors. Rizzle sat at the edge of the long table, watching as the top leaders argued. Some demanded war. Others wanted talks. Few still didn't believe what had happened. Chancellor Voren pounded the table. One ship cannot disable our fleets. It's a trick. They've hacked our systems. They're bluffing. No, Rizzle said simply. They're not. The room quieted. She stood. I was there. Saw. They're stronger, smarter, and more prepared than we ever guessed. And they don't want war. They want us to listen. To listen to what? Someone asked. Warnings about shadows and ghosts? Rizzle stared at them. Yes, Kor. Entered with a datapad in his hands. We just got another message. Everyone turned. He placed the pad on the table and tapped the screen. The words appeared in the center of the room. We've delayed them, not stopped them. You still have time to prepare, if you act now. The council stared at the message. Who is them? Voren asked. Rizzle answered. I think they're talking about something worse than us. Worse than humans. Something old. Something coming.
Ouch.
Earth is not your enemy. But if you waste time fighting us, no one will survive what's next. The Chancellor sat back, his face pale. Finally, he looked at Rizzle. What do you suggest we do? She took a breath. Send a message. It's to Earth. To Captain Thorne. Ask for a meeting. No weapons. No threats. Yeah. Just a table and chairs. The vote passed. Barely. And so it was done. 3 days later, in the neutral zone above a quiet moon, a meeting took place aboard a small station. No guards, no fleets. Just for Dominion leaders and 3 human officers. Captain Elias Thorne was calm, polite, and sharp-eyed. He didn't look like a man who had crippled a fleet with one ship. He looked tired, focused. Rizzle shook his hand. "We're ready to talk," she said. "I'm glad," Thorne replied. The conversation lasted hours. They discussed the human ghost fleet, the ships built in secret, the weapons not meant to destroy but to buy time. "What are we buying time for?" Rizzle asked at last. Thorne's face grew serious. "We've been watching a sector near the galactic rim," he said. "No stars, no signals, just movement. Something big, something old. It eats energy, it silences systems. Our first scouts never came back." "Another species?" asked Core. Thorne shook his head. "Not alive. Not as we know it. Machines, maybe remnants of a war long forgotten. We don't know what they want. But every year, they move closer." "And you think we can stop them?" Rizzle asked. "No," Thorne said. "Not alone. That's why we revealed the ships. That's why we warned you." A heavy silence followed. Then Rizzle nodded. "We'll work with you," she said. "Not as subjects. Not as enemies. As equals." Thorne offered a quiet smile. "That's all we ever wanted." The new alliance was announced quietly at first. No big speeches, no broadcasts, just quiet cooperation. Shared tech, shared data, quiet construction of new ships. Ships not meant to conquer but to hold the line. Across the galaxy, rumor spread that humans had humbled the Dominion, that something worse was on the edge of the map, that old enemies were working side by side now. Months passed, and then one day the stars flickered. Just for a second. Not everywhere, just near the rim, where nothing should be. Rizzle stood on the bridge of a new Joint Command ship. Core was at her side. The crew was mixed Dominion and human, working together. The signal came through. Low, cold. Not words. Just a pattern. Something waking up. Rizzle looked out at the stars. Then at the new fleet forming behind her. Human, Dominion, united. This was no longer about who ruled the galaxy. Now it was about who could protect it. And for the first time in a long time, she felt something strange. Hope, but also readiness, because whatever came next, they would be waiting.